On today's episode of the Iron and Infrastructure Podcast, we have on the producer himself, Tyler Tredway. So we're going to recap some of the reasoning behind the podcast and what all went into the production of it, and what the journey looked like to get to this point. So Tredway, take it from there.
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, thanks for having me on,
Yeah.
and thanks for everything, giving me the opportunity to do this. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. We've been homies for a while. Training in the gym and everything. Got to know each other, and then you kind of started down this path of wanting to do more content, which my background isn't necessarily in anything that has to do with this. My degree's in healthcare administration. So I came from, Fortune 500 company I worked in data and analytics, which did that for like 2 years. And then I worked in finance. So this has nothing to do with anything I had any sort of knowledge on.
But your background does.
Right. And then I came to Max and then started to really dig into the processes that everybody had built here, because being around the brand, I've seen it from inception kind of take on these different lives and how it operates in this current iteration of Cole, Danny, Kyle, Tyler, Nick, myself, Corey, Dustin, everything that we got going on. And I kind of learned behind the scenes of what made things magical with, the brand, with Corey's brand and with the Max brand, and just started to look for new ways to provide value there. Because like when I started here, my job was to do wholesale, and then now it's social media, content production, things like that. I mean, if you think about it, we're a sports supplement company. Corey's a fitness guy, but really it's all about content. And so when you started talking about it, I see a lot of parallels with you and Corey. And so I could kind of see your vision and me understanding you operating similar to Corey. You have this grand vision, no dream is unobtainable. You just have to put the right pieces in place. And I was like, I'm starting to learn a lot of these things. Like, it would be a good challenge for me to also, help you provide value to you, but also give you some insight into stuff that you didn't really understand, like the weeds of it and how to get it to run. So yeah, I just kind of proposed it to you, and then we've just been kind of figuring out as we go along.
Been rolling ever since. So I am not good with development. I have a vision. I think I know what it should look like at the end, but the development part of it, I'm blank on that. And you chirped at me for maybe just a few weeks and said, "Hey, let me help you out with this." And then one day you just said, "Hey, I got you. Just get out of my way. Let me roll with it. Just trust me, and let's go." It definitely wouldn't be where it's at now. Getting ready to roll it out. And the interesting part is, having an idea is one thing, but an idea without any action is just a dream, right?
Sure.
So many people have all these great ideas and never do anything with it. So it's nothing but a thought. But then not having an idea and taking action on something, what are you taking action on?
Right.
But when you combine the two, it's amazing what can be accomplished. And, I've had a few different journeys already where I've had a vision, I've seen it, I've accomplished it with no real rhyme or reason of that development part, but I understood the work, and this I didn't. This is something I could not have done on my own. And when you kind of stepped up, it was like that who not how, concept really needed that Batman and Robin, tag team to get this thing going. And you understood the blue collar background that I have, being from a small town blue collar, yourself in a similar area to where we work at, Athens, Ohio connections that we both have. So we had, not career background, but similar culture background. And then, you left that to come to Max for a bigger picture, right? That was your vision. That was your stepping out on a limb, following your passion, doing something that gives you purpose, not being on that bureaucratic hamster wheel, just doing the same thing every day, clocking in, clocking out. And I think my biggest problem throughout my whole career is I haven't worked around a lot of creativity. We're 100 people on our team on our pipeline. No one is real creative. There isn't a lot of quick action to be had. A lot of it is process, procedures, rules and regulations that we follow. The industry changes some, but more just the, the training procedures and the standards and what's required of us. But when it comes to being creative, it's not something I've ever really done until coming back to Max. So, when Corey called a couple years ago with an opportunity to buy in ownership of Max, I jumped right on it, really just because fitness is such a passion.
Mm-hmm.
The side effect of the passion of fitness has been the creativity and the environment.
Yeah.
So I feel just as at home here as I do anywhere else, because I operate more mentally in the creativity space. I've just never had a platform to throw some crazy idea against the wall and see what happens with it. And between the few projects we got going on, the podcast was kind of the last one that was of importance, and that completely switched. And now, we got 4 or 5 episodes in. We got quite a bit of legwork done. We're getting ready to release, and it's like it's real now. Mm-hmm. Now there's a business set up. It's not just an idea anymore.
Sure.
The action has taken that vision to not the finish line, but the next chapter, the next phase.
Yeah, and what's interesting is growing up, I was always kind of like a creative kid, and I always, being from a blue collar background, my mom worked a normal job, but then she also had a side job that she was able to, make a lot of money. So made sure that my sister and I never did without. My dad, he was a high school football player. He worked for All American Homes, which was a company you might be familiar with in New Concord. Mm-hmm. He used to build roofs, and I would watch my dad get up at 3 o'clock every day, and this is not it plays into the blue collar mindset, but he had a case of Mountain Dew that he would grab a couple cans out of every morning, leave at 3 o'clock in the morning, drink the Mountain Dew to get the caffeine, go stand on a roof of a new house he was building, build a roof all day, and then be at my sporting event that afternoon. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, he's also running marathons. Like my dad ran, I don't know how many, but every summer when I was a kid, we were always traveling around to watch him run these marathons. And I would watch my dad wake up, drink a couple Mountain Dews, come home, have a drink of water, go run 8, 10, 12, whatever miles, come home and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and just be a dad. And I'm like, this dude's just absolutely grinding. And, seeing my mom, work her job and then come home and, the side businesses she has, making content for that, doing things for that, just working hard. And it always kind of instilled this just hard work. We're so much in this fitness space and it's all about proper nutrition, proper this, proper that. I watched my dad drink fucking Mountain Dew, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, around 12 miles and come home. He didn't have time to
and you
eat.
Wonder, how did you do that?
How did you function? I've seen my dad drink 3 glasses of water my entire life.
Yeah. How did you not get hurt? How did you not cramp up? How it's mind-boggling to me, because I know if I don't drink at least a gallon a day of water,
for sure,
I'll cramp up.
Yeah.
Just in that. It's amazing.
But it's all about sacrifice, and that was the big thing that, my parents taught me from a young age, was just to have a strong work ethic, and everything else will kind of figure itself out. And so, I was kind of lost when I was working, corporate, because I was tied into the gym also, right? So I'm training every day with Corey. I'm seeing what he's doing, and I always wanted to be a trainer. I wanted to be a strength coach, whatever. And I tried it, when I was working at Cardinal. I was also working as a strength coach at a private training facility. So I would go there, train from 5:30 or 6 a.m., train, it was only athletes. So I would train these athletes until 8, go clock in. My corporate office was 5 minutes down the road. I'd clock in, get done at 4:30, whatever. I would probably, dip from work a little early, and then go right back and train, because that's what I was passionate about, right? And I was always trying to find a way to make it happen. And then, Corey called me and he was like, hey, dude, just figure it out. If this is something that you really want to be about, it's going to be a struggle. You're going to have to take a pay cut. You're going to have to do a lot of these things. But if it's something that you really want, the opportunities will present themselves. And so I've been at Max for a little over 2 years now, and it's been the best decision I've ever made, because it gives me the opportunity to learn about these creative processes that I felt like I was missing. These things that when I was a kid, I was learning how to be creative, how to, grind, sports, my parents, everything that they instilled in me. And I didn't really have a direction to push it. And, I saw that a lot with you, right? You have a lot of these creative ideas. You're in the gym, all these things, very similar, blue collar mindset instilled onto you. And you're making such an impact in your industry. but the content piece is what you didn't have. And I saw, like I said, a lot of similarities, and I was like, well, I feel like I can provide some value to you. And that's kind of where we hit it off. And then all of the things that have unfolded from that have just been things I've learned and picked up from here, and Corey and all the guys kind of providing input to tell me, and I just kind of delivering the information to you. But that's what's beautiful about allowing people to play in this creative space.
Right.
And I think that's what draws you, because you come in, you feel the authenticity. Everybody's kind of putting in their own work in their own different segments, and it all just kind of flows in this cool system.
So this is more of a natural fit than what I'm actually in.
Yep.
Majority, the podcast and Max Effort is a very minimal part of what I do. R&R Pipeline is 90% of my time, but the 10% I'm outside of that, here doing whatever. This is more a natural fit to who I really am. I've just been in the other arena for so long and done so much there. This just complements the creativity that has been dormant for so long.
Exactly.
And at 22, I had this vision of buying this multi-million-dollar company by 30, right? And I had no rhyme or reason why. That was just a date on the calendar. That's just what it was going to be. And things did not go according to plan. I had other things aligned before, what it is now to get to that point. But I was determined to make that happen. I had that vision, rhyme or reason why, the development, how to get there. Like, I didn't have any of that, just like I didn't on this. But when you can see something at the end, believe in it, and know 100%, this is one of them things. There's only been a few things that creativity is interesting, because probably 90% of the ideas on the creativity side are not good at all. There's only a handful of really good ones. And buying into Max, buying R&R Pipeline, starting, with Jason, the CrossFit gym, them have all been 100% for me. There hasn't been a lot that I've done in a business space that did not make a lot of sense. I'm not going to sit around and think about it for a long time. I'm going to get the detail that I need to make the decision. But I'm very quick to take action. But when I believe in something, it's really hard for me to be told no. Now, my biggest problem is always the development part, because I can envision the end, but the process is where I get stuck at. And I've said, I don't know how many times I've said, provide value with no expectation return. And I've said that for a long time. Really, I probably got that from Strategic Coach, but when you just provide value, the side effect is the return, right? And like what you're doing now, you came to me providing value just to help me get to that next step. And it's going to blow up for you eventually, right? You weren't looking for that. You're just looking for a little bit of growth yourself and applying yourself next to someone else that is in the business space. Now, we can feed off each other. We train like we have a brotherhood, right? We fight like brothers. We went at it the other day a little bit.
That's my favorite part, by the way.
Well, it's not like.
That's where you grow.
Well, yeah, transparency and criticism is good. And like me coming to you, I'm just being fully transparent. This is what I expect. This is what I need. This is how you operate. This is how I operate. How can we meet in the middle to get it?
And that's how it should be. For both of us. But most people aren't able to have those critical conversations because they're too emotional. Like most of the time when I'm a very emotional person. Like don't get it twisted. Like I was watching this video on Twitter the other day and I was crying. I was like, man,
you don't look tough at all.
I was like, man, I'm a puss. But like when you have these high level conversations with high level people, you have to take the emotion out of it, because just understand, like, I'm not mad at you. You're not mad at me. We're just trying to find a resolution for something.
Right. And so it might not be emotional, it might be passionate.
Yeah.
Because that's where I've got hung up at, where I'm very passionate about something. So when someone needs a lot of time to think about it and digest it, and I'm on cloud nine, I'm up here, I'm ready to go tomorrow or yesterday, and someone needs a month to think about it, it deflates the air right out of me. And here, though, it doesn't, because it's a creative space. I throw something completely against the wall in here, and by the time we get done talking about it 20 minutes later, it's already 5 steps ahead of where it would be had I not came in here. And I think that the evolution of the creativity here, for me, is contagious, because it's not been an environment. Naturally, it is who I am. How I take action is very quick with no good organizational skill. I don't normally have like hands-on of doing something. If I do, it's probably going to be prolonged, because I'm probably not going to do it right. I'm more of, I can see it visually, I just can't create with my hands, like tangibles. So getting the creativity side of me out the last couple of years, being around, Corey and everyone here, it's been incredible for me because it's allowed me to be more my authentic self. And I didn't realize how draining it is when I'm sitting around doing contracts and spreadsheets and like stuff that I understand and I know I'm not good at.
Yeah.
So when I'm able to be in the creative space, for me, it's like refreshing.
Well, and what's interesting is like the culture that's developed is you're not a yes man. So, for people that aren't aware of like the setup here, like we all work for Corey, but when I worked at Cardinal, I was a yes man. It was, hey, do this. Okay.
Because you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Here, it's never been that way, and that's what empowers the authenticity. Is we're not yes men, but we're a good support system for everybody. So if you come to me and say something, even though my answer to you I might want to just say, yeah, Jake, that's a good idea. I'm never going to tell you that. I'm going to try to challenge you to make you feel like it's a good idea, because at the end of the day, if you don't feel like it's the right idea, you're never going to go along with it. So it's trying to challenge you, but also trying to provide just a little bit of guidance of like where you need to funnel your focus. Yeah. And I think, you had this idea, you brought it to me, and we're thinking about it. We're kind of going through these steps. We're just spitballing stuff. And it's important in those situations to never say no to anything, because you don't really know what's possible. None of it's really possible, right? We don't know what this could turn into. Right. And really, you just kind of remove expectations, throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks and see what you like. So this kind of started as something that was completely different. And then now we're a week away from the podcast launch. So I guess like my question for you is, what originally made you want to start a podcast? Because so many people, and it is exhausting how many people have a podcast, and it's so dumb. And it's like, oh, everybody has a podcast. But like, it's also when somebody actually has value, you have to play into that, because
it's something that's not already diluted in the space.
Correct. Yeah. It's a brand new concept. It's something that's never really been done, and it's a field that doesn't have anything like it already.
Right.
Like it's something that's brand new, fresh. It can be whatever it comes out to be. So what was really your thought process behind it, and what like message do you want to deliver?
Yeah. So like a couple years ago, I started working on different type of culture programs and, like unique presentations from my coaching program. It kind of guided us into how to present something to a customer and how to have this culture. And I had a few ideas that we'll eventually get to, as far as, importance on the project side, but it was valuable learning for me to see, okay, provide value with no expectation of return, right? Back to that. So everyone on our pipeline, on our team, if we can provide them immense value with their personal life, because we truly care. Me and Cody care a lot about our people. We look at it like a team. We own the company at the end of the day. We're the only two that can never go away from that company. We can't be fired. We're there no matter what. But we don't look at it like ownership and then everyone else. We look at it like a team. If we're not all going in the same direction, it's not going to be an efficient team, right? Right. So we have this culture and this program. We implement an operating system. We're all starting to go the same direction. So it all starts kind of coming together, and giving value to other people is crucial in a construction industry that doesn't understand the reality of health, wellness, any type of fitness. It is almost looked down upon to lift weights in our industry. And I know this because it was that way for me growing up, where I've been an outlier my entire life. I started lifting weights because I didn't want to be a fat kid anymore. I got sick of being made fun of. I started going on a diet at like 14 years old. A freshman in high school, I'm eating salads at lunch. I didn't know what I was doing, right? But I knew I wasn't eating, pizza and the cookie dough and drinking Mountain Dew, right? Now the dude next to me, genetic freak, started with a football team, eating like hell, got away with it. But I knew that wasn't me. So I had to figure out, not that I had bad genetics, but I had to figure out very young, like, I can't do what everyone else is doing. I got to be different. Right. So I did. I started doing diets. Well, I was an outlier throughout the whole entire, career stage at R&R. And now I see an opportunity to create value to a lot of people, because so many people get caught in the rat race of, the simple things that they seem so minor, but the compound effect is so massive.
Mm-hmm.
The bad hydration habits, not packing a lunch, from a financial and a fitness wellness state, not being hydrated, injuries, longevity, not going to be in your favor. Smoking cigarettes, drinking pop, go on and on, diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever. Is it because these people are not smart, or are they not aware? A lot of what is going on is a lack of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know that some Ho-Hos and a Mountain Dew for breakfast is bad for them.
Right.
And I say that, and we laugh, because to us it's insanity to even consider that. But
back home, that's what everybody does.
Blue collar small towns. We have a lot of people from West Virginia, Kentucky, Southern Ohio. Very, 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 redneck blue collar towns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It just is what it is. It's not. These are great humans, by the way, and hardworking people. I mean, blue collar construction pipeline workers are some of the hardest individuals you're ever going to meet. But what happens when they hit about 40, 50 years old? They're not very pleasant to be around.
No.
Why?
Steep
Because they're
decline.
overweight.
Yep.
They have bad posture. They have blood pressure issues.
Health
they
issues.
have diabetes. They have all these issues, and they don't know that all they're doing is compounding the issue with their day-to-day actions. So if it can save lives at all, whether it does or doesn't, I don't know. But I can tell you probably 5 or 10 people that worked at R&R Pipeline have died because of this exact thing.
Right.
So it's like it's personal for me.
Yeah.
I know at 13 years old, I never envisioned this. I just didn't want to be the fat kid anymore.
Right.
But now, seeing the way the industry operates and being in the space from a management standpoint for 6 or 7 years, I just see the choices that people make. And if they just slightly adjust that choice, it can make their quality of life so much better.
Yeah.
Whether you live longer or not, I don't know. Whether your life is extended, I don't know. But I promise you will be alive longer. You will feel alive longer. You will be living longer because of how you feel. I've went through it myself with digestion issues, with, drinking too much, partying too much at a younger age. Got out of that phase. I've done all the stuff that everyone else in the space does.
Mm-hmm.
I know what that feels like, and I know what this feels like. And this feels a hell of a lot better. My quality of life, what I'm capable of doing, and who I am as a human is so much more valuable to everybody else, but valuable to myself too. My family. My personal life is better. My decision making is better. Mental clarity is better. Confidence is higher. My ability to do more is there. So creating value for people, is really the drive of this. Value based on general awareness, hydration, financial tips alone, as well as I do. You see tax return time. Come April in our industry, you always see a new 4-wheeler or a lift on the truck, right? And then come November, December, workload slows down and they have to sell that, whatever. Just adjusting habits a little bit. You wouldn't have to wait on the tax return to get the lift on your truck. You wouldn't have to do all these other things. It would already be something in play because you made better decisions.
Right.
So if we can create awareness on simple things like drinking a gallon of aminos that taste like sweet tea instead of a gallon of actual sweet tea. Packing your lunch, being prepared to succeed every day instead of, not preparing and failing every day. There's only 2 choices in your life that you focus on. You focus on wellness, and you're cognitive about that wellness. Your intent is to focus on wellness, or you're focused on illness. But it's your unconscious mind that is focused on illness, and you don't know that it's going to hit you until you're forced to.
Right.
When you're forced to focus on illness and overcoming it, it don't always happen.
Might be
I've
too
seen
late.
a few people, like we had a guy 4 or 5 years ago, was a diabetic, had blood sugar issues, for a long time. He passed away. He couldn't get it figured out. It was too late. And he was maybe 50.
So sad. And really, like, all this passion that you're talking about, you know, the wanting to help people, and that's what I saw, right? I heard you, I saw you operate at R&R, and I saw that you truly cared about people, and you wanted to provide them a way to just understand it doesn't have to be this drastic change. You know, I know, especially for you, you walk in, you command the room, right? You're a big dude, jacked, all that shit, strong, and it can sometimes be difficult to relay that message to people because they say, well, I'm never going to be you. But everything that is being talked about is you don't have to be this. You just have to be better than what you are, right? And I think really like the magic in this project is you're giving people simple solutions. You know, you always say you're either focused on the problem or the solution, right? You're giving people these simple solutions to change their lives, like drastically impact their lives. And just, you know, like you said, these people are all very hardworking, good people. They don't want to be in a bad spot. They don't want to die, right? They don't want their body to break down. They just don't know any better, and they're just going through the routine that they've always done and they've always seen come before them because it's just, the blue collar industry's always been built on this. It's built on Mountain Dew.
We've always done it
Ho-Hos.
this way.
Right.
Right?
Exactly.
It is the most alarming statement when heard for me. We've always done it this way. This way we've always done it. Anytime that I hear that within our organization, you know, 4 years ago, we buy R&R, and if I was told we've always done it this way, put it on the chopping block, let's dissect it because it's probably not right. Because if you've always done it one way and never evolved, enhanced it, or scrapped it, started over, it's probably outdated, and it's probably not the way it should be.
Yeah. So speaking on evolution, you know, we started with this concept of how can you provide value, right? And that was my main, you know, target of this whole thing. How can I help Jake provide value to these people, right?
And it was really started with another project, right? It didn't even start with the podcast. It just trickled into the podcast. The carryover went this way.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of the creativity, right? Is, okay, a lot of instances at Max Effort, you know, we have this idea, right? We throw it out there and then we dissect it, like you just said. And then the result is something completely different. But being able to understand kind of your why and your reason behind it will help you understand the end goal, right? The end goal before for us was to produce something else that will end up getting produced. But immediately our focus was on the podcast, right? And then even you've seen it just kind of in the past couple of weeks snowball into these other ways that you can provide value, you know, with the top fuel fives, the newsletter. So let's talk about kind of, you know, we touched on the podcast, your reason for it. So the top fuel 5 originally stemmed from a concept from Corey with like the Daily Fire, where he comes in and it's just a quick hitter. This is a quick action you can take to make yourself better today, right? And you're going to do something similar with the top fuel 5. So break that down just a little bit, with the thought process.
I want to back up a little bit more, and I want to really give you some credit. So I lacked the determination and confidence in the project for a while. I was so focused on being selfless and not making it just about me, not spelling out my name, putting my name on the cover, not making it Jacob Emery's, individual business to do this project and this podcast. I did all that because I've been such a team atmosphere base for so long, and Corey did some for sure, but you really hammered it to the point that, once again, we got into it quite a bit. I probably told you to fuck off more times than I'm proud to admit, but you're right. And I'm always...
Usually am.
I'm not scared to be wrong. I don't care to be right. I care to get it right. And I was wrong and you got it right. You opened my eyes a lot, and it was unexpected, and I really appreciate it. And I don't know if I've even said this to you, but I had somewhat lacked confidence in my ability or the importance of what I've done. And it wasn't that I didn't value it. It was, is it really that valuable to others? Because I know what the coaching, the mentorship that I've had, the network I have, I know the value to me, but does it really carry over to other people? And between your push, talking to others and providing them value, and then seeing what just a handful of people I've done with their lives, providing them just insight to what I've done, where we just hired a guy that has been one of our customers for 18 years. and he was severely overweight a few years ago. Set out this wild goal to lose 100 pounds, and he had a fire lit under him. And then I see him on site one day. I tell him a few things of what's going on, and he was like you were when you were at Cardinal. He had lost his purpose there, right? And he's like, I want to come sit down with you, talk a little bit more. And he was inspired by what I told him, what we have done at R&R, as a company, and what project we had going on, what I was talking to him about. And I talk to him daily now. We work together.
Mm-hmm.
He works at R&R now, and he loves it because he has found his purpose, like what you did at Max. And he took a huge chance on leaving the company he was with, but he's happier than hell now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not the only one that's done that in the last couple of years. And I've always tried to help people out. It's been an instinct of mine to do for a long time. I'm always trying to pull someone up. If they're in a bad spot, trying to pull them up, because a lot of time what they have went through, I've already went through if it's within
Mm-hmm.
the business, and I kind of know what steps need to be taken to overcome it. And I know that I can really expedite that process for a lot of people. But I never understood the true value in it, I don't think, until the last couple months. And I didn't know that it would get to this point, nor did I think it would have the value that I do now. But now I know without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to change lives.
For sure.
It already has. And it's not even out. Whether it's one or two or a couple 100,000, I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But that's what the original spark was kind of being able to provide value for other people, to create awareness. The podcast idea, though, came from me being bogged down in my, day-to-day environment and not having a creativity, environment. Where I talked to G about it one day. I'm like, dude, I come in from my coaching programs. Like, I have all these crazy-ass ideas. I got a whole entire, whiteboard set up on the wall at my office, like a 10 by 10 whole entire wall is whiteboard. And I'm, going down every other day. I'm just writing shit out. I'm taking pictures of it, just thinking. And then I'm not putting anything out. I'm not how do I get all this out, even if it's not to the public? How do I get relief from all this pent up excitement? And then he started saying, just do video content, man. Just do a newsletter, do videos, do social media, whatever. Just start building a little bit of a brand. So I just started kind of doing videos like that. And then I wake up one morning, I'm getting ready to get in the shower, and within 20 minutes it all hit me. And originally it was the iron and energy, was the original thought. But I'm like, how can I mesh my worlds? Because, I've always been in the fitness space, and I've always been in the pipeline space, in the construction industry. How can I create awareness for what I've done for myself as a 1%er of the world, let alone the industry? But there's not very many people that can come in and bench press 400 pounds and then go pipe all day, right?
Right.
That's been my world for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I just provide a little bit of access to that, but then financial insight, personal development? I'm huge on personal development, what it's done for me. How can I just provide this area to show people, okay, you can have a net worth of $37,000 and 4 months later close on a multi-million-dollar business? It's possible. And you can do it at 30 years old, because I did it. So how can I just get something out there? And then the Top Fuel 5, I've always been a very quick to take action type of person, relatively reckless in my younger age. But Top Fuel 5, how can I get out more frequency, content, shorter but direct to the point? Because I have a lot of, stuff from Strategic Coach I can talk on, stuff I've learned from, time at Westside, the gym, the old school, gym, obviously, 4 a.m. crew, how the obstacles in the gym, go into business, the journey of buying R&R pipeline. There's so many things that I can talk about and get a solid point across in a few minutes. I've always said I live my life like a top fuel dragster. I'm always trying to go 350 mile an hour. Every once in a while, though, I'm going to blow up, I'm going to break down, I'm going to need rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the last 3 years of pec tears and knee rehab and whatnot. But that's how I've always lived my life. It's not that I'm all gas, no brakes. I just don't have a brake. I just have a gas pedal, right?
Yeah.
But then eventually the wire gets cut on the gas pedal, and I'm on the sideline. I'm getting put back together, right? Putting JB Weld on me, getting thrown back together.
Just for those that don't know, I watched this dude jump from you jump from 400 to 465 pounds on bench the other day. No in between. It's either all gas or nothing.
Yeah, which hasn't always played out in my favor, but I would not be where I'm at if I would not be that way.
100%.
So knowing that, the Top Fuel 5 just came from, really a 5-minute based clip around a top fuel topic, right? Something that is fire, quick, to the point, and really can, hit people hard. That's where that came from. And then, doing a newsletter, just as a simple, let's give a quote, a personal development guide, a book that you can read. Okay, you're having a bad attitude, morale in this industry is bad, right? Majority of the time. Woe is me. Everyone wants to blame other people. No one wants to take accountability for their own failures in life. But a lot of people don't understand that their day-to-day decisions and their lack of awareness with their wellness all stem from, what they do on a day-to-day basis. It goes into the bad mood.
100%.
Is Jim Bob in a bad mood because, his dinner wasn't good last night, or is it because he had corn with a loaf of bread and spaghetti and doesn't understand why he's tired? Right. So the health decisions carry over into who you are with your effort and your attitude. A couple things you can control no matter what. And I always call them just grouchy old bastards because that's what it seems to be. But there's so many people that have made poor decisions and want to blame the world for them. And the only person that they can blame is that man in the mirror. So just creating a general awareness, hey, you lack any type of positivity in your life. Why don't you read this book called The Energy Bus? It'll take you about an hour and a half. You can YouTube it and listen to it on the way to the job site in a truck. You're getting paid to drive there, right? Because that's what I used to do. So just providing insight on what I've done and then hoping that other people can change their lives because of it. Because I tell you what, man, being able to get to this point to where I'm in more of a freedom, purpose state where my creativity side can come out, it's empowering.
Yeah.
It makes me want to do more.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, to touch on what you talked about, I know your background. I know a lot about, I don't know everything about you obviously, but I know a lot of where you come from because I felt that, right? We're pretty much the same age, but very different paths. You own a multi-million-dollar pipeline company. I couldn't tell you anything about a pipeline company, nor do I want to. But what I saw was you have these lofty goals of I'm going to achieve whatever I want in life and nobody's going to be able to tell me no, right? And you had no reason at all at age 17 to believe that you would be where you're at today. But everything that you did, all, kind of the negative things you had to go through to get to where you are now is just super powerful. And I think that everybody can relate to that story. Especially in this industry, people from where we're from, very blue collar people, we've all had that feeling at some point. You're 16, 17, 18, shit, you might be 40 years old and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And to see you transform your life from a person that really, if you think about your actions and where you're going, you're headed down a dark path. You were going to end up in the same spot they were, overweight, health issues, all these things, feeling like shit all the time, grouchy, hate your family, all this shit. And for you to snap that trend and then to propel yourself to where you were able to get to in just a short time, and then all of these things that you're talking about, deals, all these things, expansion, all this cool shit, you never really have a ceiling for yourself. No. And that's what's cool about the content pieces. When we started this, it was all about something else, and now it could really develop into whatever you want it to because you're applying those same principles. And it's now that's why it's so authentic, right? You're not this guy who came in and you came from a trust fund and you just bought this company. You're like, I'm the fucking CEO. This is what it's going to do. You fucking grinded your way literally from the bottom to the top. And now you're providing an example of, I didn't do anything fucking magical. This is just what I did. And this is what's going to help you transform your life. And I think that's super powerful because it's similar to what Corey does with fitness. Corey's not somebody called him out for using steroids earlier, which he's lifetime drug free. He's like, bro, I weigh 180 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, I just work my fucking ass
Yeah.
off.
I don't do anything special. I just don't miss, right?
Exactly. And I saw that a lot with you, and that's what really drew me to the project and really wanted me to help you, because I saw a gap where, you talk about providing value. I saw a gap where you had all these ideas, whatever, and
It's opportunity.
Yeah, you didn't really know where you wanted to go. And I was like, well, I see this stuff every day. I can help you kind of channel it. It's not much different than what Corey's doing.
And I think what is so powerful about the whole entire message and then what you did for me the last 6 months, I never understood what I had actually accomplished. I don't think until the last few months, because it just is what I do and it's who I am. But understanding really from what your insight has been to me, understanding how truly rare it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talk about hard work and all that, that's part of it. But blue collar people work hard all the time.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they work smart. Right. And I've seen this from a young age where being the hardest working dude in the room is sometimes a participation trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're working hard with no real destination in mind, what's your journey look like, right? Journey to your next destination, we talk about all the time. So if you're just mindlessly wandering and working hard, then you're not really doing anything but exhausting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a path, now there might be a lot of exit ramps and roadblocks and the bridge is out on that way. But if you have an end goal and okay, there's a few general steps I got to do to get there. For being at 22, really going into the phase of being a foreman, I understand, okay, the next step for me is going to be a foreman. I got to turn my life around a little bit. I got to be a foreman. I got to be a leader and prove that I can run, crews of grown men and be efficient. But I looked at it differently than everybody else, because I didn't look at how can I go outwork everybody from a time and effort standpoint. It's how can I be more efficient in less time? And so I put people in the right places. Now that was like a natural instinct to me. And after, hearing stuff about Henry Ford, Think and Grow Rich, stories, and then Who Not How from Strategic Coach, it was a natural thing to me. But now I understand why. Because it's so much easier to put people with a strength in the place that they're strong at. That's why you're here. You're strong in where you're at. And I don't know the first damn thing about what you're doing, right? From ground level. So not being too proud to ask for help, being willing to be vulnerable, admitting when you're wrong, like I just did a little bit ago. I have no problem being wrong as long as it's right at the end. Pride in our industry, everybody wants to be acknowledged for what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone wants to yell and scream and shout how great they are. But anyone that achieves a high level of success, they don't need everyone else's approval, or they don't need to be put up on this stage. The most successful people I know are not going around telling everyone how successful they are, how great they are, right? Everyone else is talking about it, and they're just trying to do the next thing to help out. I don't think that I ever did this for to be recognized, right? Because I don't care about that. Not caring about other people's opinions is a very powerful thing. I respect a lot of people's opinions that I go to for advice. I talk to you about this project. I respect your opinion, or else if I didn't, I wouldn't come to you for it. Like if I'm going to, ask for your opinion or your advice, then I'm going to respect your opinion on it. But I don't really care what the outside world thinks. If they don't like it, then call me on my phone and tell me about it, or meet me at the gym. Let's talk about it. And if you can't do either one of them things, then your opinion is so irrelevant it doesn't even matter. Why are you even talking about me, right? It don't matter. But seeing that opportunity, putting people in the right place from a young age, and then just putting that date on the calendar for whatever rhyme or reason, it's impossible. Everyone in my universe told me it was impossible. And the only people that really outspokenly understood it and believed was Cody, obviously my business partner, and attorney Jim Havens. And Jim Havens was he pretty much said, give me the keys, let me drive this car. I'm going to take you to the promised land. And that's what he did. And whenever someone asks me about a business opportunity or lacking direction, I say, it's not how can you do this, it's who. And then I've quite literally, Jason Tomlinson can tell you this, had him give me his keys out of his pocket, physically hand me his keys. I'll say, Jason, give me your keys. And I was like, I'm going to introduce you to Jim Havens. I'm going to give him these keys. I want you to sit in the back and shut up. He's going to drive the car. And then he's going to tell you to get out, and it's going to be done. A month or two later, that's what happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't very long after, right?
Yeah.
So building the people around you, trusting other people. No one has ever achieved great success on their own.
Right.
And what's happened in your past shapes your future, regardless of a positive or negative experience. What I grew up and seen was negative, but I didn't dwell on it and continue that path. I wanted better for myself. So I took the negativity that I seen, the inefficiency, the hard work with a lost direction, and changed that. Because I didn't want to live that life, right?
Right.
This is the same message for the podcast. When people understand that it doesn't take hardly any effort, a few minutes a day, better choices, and it can turn their life around and they can have a better quality of life. It's powerful.
Super powerful.
Very powerful. The ones that have already done it will be on this podcast eventually and attest to it. You don't realize, though, how big of a hole you dug yourself into at certain points until you put down the shovel. What's the best way to get out of a hole? Stop digging. Dude, put down the shovel, backfill that hole, and get out of it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think that they've dug themselves into such a deep hole that there's no way that they can get out. And what is really cool about what you're providing is you break it down to the simple level.
Yes.
And just say, you don't have to be me overnight, or you don't even have to be me. Like
because you're not going to.
You're not
right?
going to. You just have to make simple changes, and
right.
the compound effect will take over.
Right.
Like once you start to just figure a couple things out, it'll all start to reverse. You're
Yeah.
putting down the shovel.
Right.
You're going to start to get yourself out of that hole.
I've been trial and erroring for 15 years on dieting, right? Fortunate or not, I started at a young age. People would give me hell for doing diets in high school, working out before school started, hitting it again after, skipping class to go to the mezzanine and get a pump at lunch. Like I did all that stuff too.
Yep.
And it wasn't because I wanted to be some jacked, ripped dude. I just didn't want to be made fun of and be fat.
Yep.
And the side effect of it was the confidence and the longevity of what it's built. And now I do demand the attention of a room when I walk in. But it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
People don't get fat and out of shape and unhealthy overnight either.
Correct.
And people have to realize, like, we can provide awareness and education, but you got to commit to the change. But the easiest way to change is to commit to the smallest amount of change. I had a strategic coach that was friends with UCLA coach. What's his name?
Wooden.
John Wooden, yeah. And he had made a commitment, and it was like a 20, 30-minute commitment every day. And he would do it a couple days in a row, and then the third day he'd miss, and then the fourth day he'd double down on it. Eventually we'll quit doing it. And John Wooden asked him, like, why'd you commit to that? What was it going to do? Would it make you a better family man? Would it make you a better dad, husband, father, whatever? And they said, don't commit to that, bigger 20-minute goal. Commit to 1 minute or 1 second. Just commit to the smallest thing possible. Do not commit that you're going to go on a diet and drink a gallon of water every day. If you try to completely transform your life in one day, you're going to fail more likely.
Absolutely.
Have a small win. If it means don't drink your calories and drink half a gallon of water a day for 21 days, that's the only change you make. I always recommend starting with hydration to everybody.
Yep. Because
it's probably the biggest cause of injury, lack of nutrition, feeling like dog shit. Start with water. That's it. Drink
Super simple.
half a gallon a day. And sometimes, depending on the person, I won't even have them take anything away. I'm not taking anything from you. I just want to add something to you.
I'm giving it back to you.
You don't change anything else, but you have to have this half gallon of water done every day. And then people start feeling better. And the next step would be cut back on the pop. Cut back. Don't drink your calories, right? And then eventually, they want to change their food. They're going to
start feeling better.
Start feeling better,
They're going to start feel it.
So it's just that little victory. And once you establish one little victory, it takes commitment to change. But then after the commitment, you get some courage. You're like, man, feels pretty good. And then after you get some courage, you know that you're capable of doing it. And then at the end, you get confidence. And then the next commitment is just bigger and longer and more drastic and more change. Like, it just continues to evolve. It's super powerful, but you have to start with one small thing.
Absolutely.
There is no perfect plan. Start small, very, very small. And in this industry, the smallest change, hydration being an example, can yield the biggest result in the quickest amount of time for health and financially. I mean, how many times do people stop at a gas station and get, $30 worth of stuff a day, and I got my gallon jug that is $30 and been ran over by a dozer, and I still carry it every day.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think, what's really cool about the whole thing is you're learning it all as we go along. So much like the people that you're talking to that are trying to change their lives, they're learning every day. And you're putting yourself in the same, you've already got that part figured out. You've already got the health, nutrition, all that stuff figured out. You're entering this new world that's going to help you grow and be more successful in everything else too, just like they are. So it's like, you're also doing what you're saying you're going to do. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. It's not comfortable. Like you said, you're in a truck with 3 other dudes and they're all smoking cigarettes, eating ho-hos and drinking Mountain Dew. And you got to say, hey, I'm actually just going to drink water and eat some beef jerky. And they're making fun of them. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. But you're going through the same thing. And it's powerful that you can kind of help lead them. And you're not really preaching to anybody. You're just leaving a trail of clues of what you did to be in the position you are.
Awareness, right? Yep. Education is the goal, and hoping that people change is the goal. But just knowing that there's a different way, the general awareness. Now, we're talking baby steps at best. That start, you just need a little bit of acceleration to go somewhere, right?